Welcome.
to the, what's the date today? It's 16th?
March 16th.
16th, day before
March.
St. Patrick's Day.
That's right. So can we have beers tonight too?
I would love it.
I would think that our meetings would go much better if they had beers. It's either cookies and milk or beer, and I could go either way.
Do it as we do in Lyric. We save the beer and wine for the 9:30 lounge. After we've worked on the project, we have the 9:30 lounge.
Unfortunately, all of the restaurants are closed. Or maybe fortunately, that could be
Okay.
fortunately.
We're recording, so
Okay. So do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Nope.
no.
Okay, so I allotted quite a bit of time to go through this and we might not need to take all that much time, but
Yeah.
I allotted a bunch of time for it.
Yeah.
And we should probably try to figure out if we can get far enough to have John and Andrew back at our next meeting.
Right. It's a little hard with so few people.
Well,
here.
I think that we can, we count.
We'll do our stuff and
We count, and in fact, the minutes will, if the minutes can reflect what our suggestions are, we can get some feedback on that, maybe from from our other committee members.
Mhm.
What they asked us to do, what Black River asked us to do is to look at each one and say what we like and what we don't like.
Mhm.
So I suggest we start with A1.
Yeah. I printed out the matrix.
Okay.
'Cause that was just
Say,
easier.
I have it here too.
Yeah. A1.
A1, and so this is a relatively small addition.
Yep.
I think I figured this out. It was about 500 square feet. I think it was about 500 square feet.
Yep.
With a stairwell.
Two
And
stories,
yeah,
correct? That's
well,
the
it's
two-story
only-
addition.
The second story is only the stairwell in this one.
So I was just looking to see if it had any additional.
Only
Square
the
footage or
stairwell?
anything.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
this one was minimal.
This
Yeah.
was, it was actually, I think the smallest.
Mhm.
It is.
Yep.
And so something that we might
So
want to,
A1, pluses and mine. Do you want to just go through pluses? How do you want to do this?
Mhm.
well,
Plus, I can make a grid, plus and minus, and
No.
just start writing on A1.
that would be helpful.
Okay,
That would be helpful, kind of pros and cons.
yeah,
So
Okay.
I do have thoughts on this. Do you
I
guys
have
have
thoughts
thoughts?
too,
Yeah.
so just
Like,
go.
I would say a con for me is no tenant space.
I think location of Sallyport entrance being towards. the
Yes, I
Street.
do not like that.
Yeah.
road.
Sallyport in the front.
Another con is that you still have quite a bit of a distance to walk through the parking lot to get over to the library.
And the con is that, I think it's this one, the town offices are split on multiple floors. Is that right?
Yeah,
Is that a con?
That's a con, I think.
You think, okay, town office. Okay. I'll give you some pluses and one of them is a plus for every one of these designs. We get rid of the 2 handicap parking spaces on Bridge Street that you have to back out into Bridge Street to park in.
Yeah.
And every one of the designs has the same, getting rid of those
Oh,
stupid parking places, which it's like, it's hard. Sometimes there's too much traffic and sometimes.
yeah, I
it's
think
just scary.
the plus of having the handicap, the
Oh,
ramp
in
from
the
both
park,
sides,
yeah.
from.
Yeah, that has the handicap ramp both sides on the library, right?
And a plus for all of these to me is that we have additional parking.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the plus for this one being the smallest of our options is it's the cheapest. It's the
Well,
maybe
but we
maybe
can
less money.
I don't know that, I think that's a John question. I might assume that, but I don't know that for sure.
Well, so one of the problems I have with all of these is that I think we're looking at anywhere from 3,500 to 4,000 square feet for the police
Mhm.
portion of this. The Heinsberg seemed, eminently adequate to
Mhm.
me, and that was like
22, yeah.
2,500,
Yeah. Yeah.
at most, a little bit less than that without the Sally Port.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I agree. I actually already emailed this to Jeff.
Uh-huh.
It feels like we've been hijacked by the police department's needs a little bit. And we've gotten away from the community needs. And I have things I would think, I don't know that the police department needs the whole wish list.
No,
I think that's a decision, like, I think a separate entrance is important, a Sally Port is not. Locker rooms are not so important as having offices.
Mhm.
You know, I think, I don't know, for me, I think I'm thinking about the politics of this as well.
Mhm.
If we are gonna spend, if we have a plan for which 3 million of the $11 million is going to providing the police department with stuff. I mean, people didn't like a $3 million public safety building. And that was gonna house the fire department and the police.
Oh, it was quite a bit more than that. It was, I think it
Yeah.
was 6. But
Yeah, but you know, but that was what was put out at at that vote, that advisory vote. There was a $3 million figure bandied around at that point.
I thought
It was in the resolution as $3 million.
I think it shrunk when wasn't that when it was just police
I
before that?
don't know, but anyway, but
Before my time,
I
either
just
way.
am very, I don't want to give large voter constituencies. There's lots of voter groups that are gonna respond positively or negatively to this. And I just think it's not.
so.
With
I've heard.
the uncertainty of the police departments and as we saw at Town Center, regardless of how practical it is, people think we don't need a police department. You know, I mean, I know we don't but
Well, I would dispute whether or not people think we don't need a police department, but I think, because actually, while there's almost every town meeting, somebody brings up,
the state police, Yeah.
in state police or eliminating or
Yeah.
scaling it back,
yeah,
and that never flies.
No.
And our budget does pass.
Right.
And our budget
Right.
includes pretty hefty resources for the police.
Right.
And so the way that I would interpret that is that we do have support for police. It's just that we don't have the police that we.
that we need,
That we
right, yeah,
thought we
right.
were,
I just don't want to make this building about the police department.
I absolutely agree.
I think
absolutely
the
agree.
building, I mean, I think there are things they need. I would say, if I was gonna choose, I would say, yes, they need a processing room. Yes, they need a separate entrance, so they're not interacting with Linda and making Linda the receptionist. And do they need a locker room? Would be nice. All this stuff would be nice. But perhaps we want to have John do one design where there's not as much for the police.
What I think we could do is ask them. Okay, I can't tell exactly how much square feet
Hmm.
for the police he has in the blue section upstairs and downstairs.
This particular design,
Yeah, I don't think it's
doesn't he
live.
have the,
I don't, it does it in other
Yeah.
squares, but I don't think that one tells us.
it just
This
says
one
the
has
addition,
Cover
itself.
over it.
It has the addition as 1,700 square feet on this, in his matrix.
Oh.
It says the addition is 1,700 square feet.
And I think that might include the mechanical though. Does that include the mechanical?
I don't know, because this is just the matrix and it says approximate addition square feet, 1,700.
So I don't know where it gets up to 1,700 and that in other iterations, the processing facility is more like 500 to 750.
Well, the Sally Port's probably
No,
500,
the.
and then you add processing for 500.
I don't think it's that big. So,
I
but
think
any
it-
event, I mean, one of the things that I would like, and I don't know whether it fits under this, it might fit on all of them. What can we get for like 2,500 square feet,
Mhm.
Right.
Right. Which is that's closer to Heinsberg's number.
It's
Yep.
a little bit less than that.
Heinsberg's less than that.
Yeah, but plus the Sally part.
Yeah.
you know, and their Sally Port is 4-car garage.
Yeah,
but-
there you go.
Well, yeah, it's not,
Even if it
there's,
were one
there's
car-
Sally Ports,
I think the one car would be appropriate.
yeah. But that's all he's ever got in any of these
Yeah.
plans is
Yeah.
a one
Right.
car.
So, you know, and, you know, another question, and I don't think we can answer at the moment,
Mhm.
is, you know, how important is a Sally Port to us? If, right, currently, we don't have them. And so
And we have never had one,
and we've never had one, so we process in other places.
right,
In theory, we could contract with another town,
right.
you know, for
Well,
that. processing.
they could still have a processing room without a Sally Port.
Well, I mean.
That's a question for Ben, I guess. Or whoever the new police chief is.
Somebody, you know, I got the significance of taking somebody out of the
Yeah.
car in an enclosed
Right.
space, particularly when we're so
Yeah.
close to the library.
But-
So, which is another con to this particular,
But they take people into their offices who are under arrest now.
not in handcuffs.
Not, they never put anybody in handcuffs and bring them in.
They take them other places.
To go to another
They do,
town.
okay, all right.
You know, when it was originally built, they did. I mean, because they have there is a
Mhm.
holding cell.
Okay.
But we don't,
Anyway,
we don't do that
all
anymore.
right, so back to A1. So additional parking, handicapped ramp both sides. Those are gonna be on all of these because
Mhm.
every one of those plans
Mhm.
to some extent addresses that.
But-
Um,
A plus for me is it keeps, it's one building, like everything is connected in one building.
Mhm.
Another plus for me is that it leaves the green space behind the library
Yes.
Yeah,
for future
that's-
expansion, and at least one of those doesn't.
So I wonder if we reduce this, would the police not need the second floor? And if they didn't need the second floor, then we would have room
Tenants.
for our tenants.
Right. And the other Sally Port, if we were gonna have the Sally Port in the front, the other option,
I like
the
that
next
better.
one is better where it's hidden, but I hate both of them because the police cars are backing into the traffic flow.
Well, they would probably back in, so they would.
But they're gonna, yeah,
Okay, so,
the downside is they'd probably leave the police cruisers parked in those 5 lots, which I hate seeing. When you drive in, I hate seeing those 5,
so mark that down. That's a con. I agree with that.
because their entrance is still gonna be in the same place.
Mhm.
And there's no separate entrance for the police.
And by the way, you know, so I have talked with Pete Goslin about, you know, can we just park them in the back of the parking lot? And the problem with that is snow removal.
Mhm.
So he hasn't figured out another way to do snow removal. It's all in the back, which would be the same problem.
So doesn't this have its own separate entrance here on the left, or is that only accessible?
That's
from-
the police, that's a stairway that's police only.
I thought you just said no separate entrance.
There isn't any separate, and,
That's-
those are
Settle-
police only. That's just the stairwell.
I think that's the stairwell to the between the two
Yeah, that's an
floors of the police
internal
department.
Stairwell that's
Okay.
to the police
I
on
think.
the
I
second
thought that was
floor.
an
There
entry.
still there's still, police entrance is still, it's written down
Yeah,
on the
similar
There's
police
the-
entrance is, oops, hold on. Police
located,
entrance located similarly to existing conditions
Off
off
of
of
the
building
vestibule.
vestibule.
so it doesn't
Oh.
have a separate.
Town
entrance.
office and Richmond Police Department entrance would be up the main stairwell.
So essentially, it takes.
Oh, that, and the entrance is really far from the
Parking.
entrance, far from parking.
You know, essentially on the first floor, they're taking over the existing police space and where the planning and zoning is.
And the addition, huh?
And so where people would access the police is from the central foyer.
Correct. It's the way, basically the way it is now.
which
Oh, there
actually-
is a town office entrance to the back side the same way though.
Yeah. So people come in the same way they're coming in now.
Right.
And then go up the stairs and they would have access to,
Right.
you know, any of the town offices.
And in fact, that would mean,
There's very little change really in the.
so is that
Okay.
door that's currently the keypad door still there? It looks like it
No.
is.
No, because they've added some walls there.
Okay,
This looks like it's still.
right,
this
and the
color.
red's the elevator, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So this would
The
still
public
be here to get in for them.
So that's for them, I think.
Yeah, that's right. They,
So people still have to make the trek up. Okay, it's exactly like it is
I
now.
think so. It's just not, the door's in a different
There's
side.
just more space for the police.
Yeah, it's
And
more
because
space.
they're on the second floor. So questions, I'll just have a questions on this design. Question. If no second floor to police could be tenants. This relates to this 2,500 square feet instead of the 3,500 square feet question. Tenants, okay.
And so, something that, I think when we get a chance to present either to the select board or to the public,
Mm,
I think it's important for them to realize that, we're not just saying yes. We're not just saying yes to everything that comes our way. In some respects, that's kind of the job of the architects. The architects trying to please everybody that they talk with.
mhm.
And it's our job to say, yeah, well, that would be nice, but I don't think so.
Do we really, is that important enough to spend money
Right, exactly.
to include them and not have the space to include someone else?
And it is spending that. So,
Yes, it is spending money. Okay, do you want to,
Okay.
I think that's
A2.
A2. Okay,
so A2 is the way that they came up with, tenant space. It's 2-story building.
and it's 2,900 square foot addition on their matrix,
Yes.
2,900 square feet.
Okay, so, things I like about this, I really like the entrance to the parking lot much better. The connection between the,
Where's the-
library
Can
and
you
the
blow?
town center
Oh,
building.
yeah.
I like that much better. You got the same, similar ramps on from both sides. So I think the handicapped access is
Yeah.
much better. I like that little half round thing. Feature, that landscape feature in the front of the library.
Which,
Portico?
where?
The going up and
Where the
up the
stairs are.
stairs by the library.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that-
and eliminating the stairs there, or
Yeah.
they would leave the stairs, but the handicap ramp coming from both places.
That's
Yeah, I
nice.
like
Yeah,
that.
I agree
And,
there.
and that little half round thing, whatever that landscape feature is.
Yeah.
I like that, I like the
it's
one,
probably a wall.
could be, it could be, for outdoor program space.
Well, yeah, they would change the grade in the front of the library
Uh-huh.
to do this. But actually, that is the way it was originally planned to be, with the handicap ramp coming from the back.
This would probably also fix the drainage issues at the library. That would be. a
Yeah.
pro.
Yeah. Okay, so plus is the
I mean, we
entrance
will-
to the library. The 2 handicap spaces moved.
You wouldn't have
And-
the police cars with that entrance. You wouldn't have the police cars being the first thing you see when you drive in
Well, unless
potentially.
they
I mean, unless
park
they
them
park
right
there, but
there.
at least it's a little bit removed from
Uh-huh.
they're past the entrances of the buildings potentially.
I like the Sallyport.
The Sally
entrance
Port
is-
option is, yeah, I like
not-
it better. It's
It's
more
not
hidden.
facing the street. So the first thing you see is not facing the street.
Yeah. Okay, it has tenant space, that's a plus.
Yep. It's still all one building.
It, actually has more
Uh,
tenant space.
Things are
Architecturally, it
on.
would probably look better, as far as as opposed to A1, in that it's a more significant mass.
Mhm.
That's
against this
true.
big
The other
building.
one's a pretty narrow
Very small.
addition. It's just about a car width. The first A1 is like pretty much the width of a Sallyport
Mhm.
addition. Okay, the things that I didn't like, there were. a
Something
couple-
that I would like, since we are being driven a lot by the police.
Yeah,
Feature, everything else is office space. So, it's the police is what
Mhm.
is the challenge here. I would like on their matrix, how much square footage the police have.
Hmm.
It's not just the addition, it's how
Mhm.
much total.
much
square-
is
Okay,
devoted
I'm
to
writing
different
on here,
groups.
add square foot for police. Maybe we ask them for the square foot, I know they know, for police, town offices and tenants,
Mhm.
just to be comparing apples.
Mhm. And
to
post
apples
office, well, I
and
guess
po-
post, yeah,
No,
yeah.
The post office does change on some of
Mhm,
these,
yes.
so
Mhm.
that would be helpful to know how those square feet change.
I
All
think,
right.
if you hover over,
I have
if you
that.
hover over them, you do get something,
Let me see, I'm gonna
if it's
zoom in.
alive.
I don't know that it is.
I noticed
Find
that
it.
I could change.
Oh, you know what I did
move
is I
arrows
downloaded
and
it.
Stuff. They're not locked down designs. I could move the arrows around. I realized when I was clicking around. Yeah,
So I think if you download them,
Okay.
that's what I did. That's probably why I could.
and
I
then,
was- Yeah.
into a PDF,
This
Yeah.
is, yeah,
is that what that is? Yeah, okay, so if
Yeah.
you,
maybe I'm in the wrong.
some of them, if you hover over them, you get like, oh,
Oh, I'm in like this Zoom.
You hover over the word post office, does it tell you?
I get,
where did I have this?
Anyway, the other thing I liked about this design is, I think it's different. The green space next to the entrance.
Yeah.
Was nice. There's kind of a
This one
nice
right here
little
in front of
green-
the town center.
No,
or-
in the back
In the
here,
back?
right here, the
Oh,
4
yeah.
trees.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a nice little green space
Mhm.
that makes it feel more welcoming. The green space right in front of the entrance.
Yep.
So it sounded like we like this, and
Mhm.
I actually don't.
This was my least favorite one and and it has too much space, too big of an addition, I think.
So again, it is a
comes-
very big presence of police, that hits, particularly the voters. That
Mhm.
this project would look like it was a project for the police.
Mhm.
And that's, it's less of an architectural thing than it is like a political thing.
Political thing, yeah.
And frankly, Laura, you're not the only one who's mentioned that. Jake mentioned it also in an email to
And
me.
Karen Yagi mentioned it in her email.
Um,
So I'm putting a negative, too much space visibly, I don't know, for police,
Mhm.
for police. It looks like half the building.
Right,
More than
more
half
than
the
half the
building
building.
is gonna be police
Mhm.
station. It's like we're turning this into the police station.
yeah, I figured out that.
There you just hovered that square
there you
footage.
go.
There you go.
So. Where's the comment?
That's what I feel like is more than half of the building is
Yeah.
now the police and the post office. And what about the town offices?
Right.
And it splits the town offices?
Yes, this one
does.
still has a
Okay,
town
so that
office on two
still
floors.
splits the town offices.
Well, and God love our tenants, but
It's too much.
building
tenant space.
new space for our tenants is another difficult.
Mhm.
If our
Yeah,
primary tenants are,
the
MMC,
historical society and
and they don't take up a whole lot of space.
society and the senior center need like an office, a meeting room and some storage space. They don't like
They need a
need
lot.
a huge space.
You
I
know,
mean, this would mean like radiate could go in here,
that's correct.
but radiate is not,
So you could say that's a plus.
for me, it's not necessarily a plus. I mean, I feel bad if they're probably not gonna find space in this building unless we went somewhere in this direction, but
Well, I mean, if we refocus the architects on the upstairs, there's still a possibility.
yeah. Anyway, yes, I think building space for tenants with taxpayer money for nonprofit tenants could have a
Again, political problem.
contingent that don't like that.
Well, it also probably have a contingent that did.
Well, and
Yeah.
because the senior center in particular has a lot of supporters.
You
And
know,
so does the historical society.
definitely.
Yeah.
And Radiate probably actually has a lot of supporters,
Right, I know, yeah. And
Right.
MMC TV is paying the most money after the post office.
Yeah,
So,
well,
you
and
know.
they have proven to be a really extremely valuable.
Yeah. Yeah.
tenant.
yeah. Okay, anyway, any other comments we want to put on this?
I think for maybe one positive for both A1 and A2, I remember them talking about this last time they were here. At least the construction, the orientation of these projects doesn't disrupt the neighbors on the other side or
Yeah.
impact the
Right.
neighbors on the other side as much
That's true.
as some of the later designs.
And it doesn't initiate that, the taking material out thing,
Yeah.
because the other side is
Yeah,
in the
we should put that down.
floodplain.
Yeah, the
Doesn't
floodplain thing.
impact neighbors, doesn't impact floodplain regs as
In,
much.
in some ways, it's probably easier construction management, because you could
Mhm.
build all of this, and then, and then start moving, but we're not actually shuffling things around because it takes over, the police takes over all the existing space
Mhm.
and the, in that meeting room, same as A1. So there's no shuffling that we can do. So that would be a con really. Because we, some of these other ones, you can do some shuffling.
Mhm.
No, ability to. This is
This-
like.
Relocate people on site,
Relocate, thank you.
relocate people
Re-
on site
no
during construction.
relocating, no, the relocation. I already told Rebecca, she might lose the two small offices, the mezzanine and the community space while the construction
During
here is
construction, I
going
think it's
on.
entirely
And-
possible.
And we just live with it. Nobody's gonna have what they want. Linda's gonna have to stay near the vault. Somebody's gonna have to stay near the vault at some point in the construction. But I already said, the library might become some of the office space and definitely the select board meeting room. And it just is the way it is, and it won't be perfect, but
I
Hopefully
thought
it'll be
Christine
temporary.
made a really good point that we're better at remote,
well,
Yeah.
yeah, people have, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so no floodplain doesn't impact.
Again, this has the same landscape features as the other A1.
Yeah.
And I wonder if, as we get
On both of them. Yeah.
down to it, if we like that entrance to the library, like how much can we sort of mix and match?
I
Some
think
of
we
these
can.
plans
That's why
too.
I think that's why they're asking this.
They wanted to know are there any other negatives for this other than it's too much space for the police? It's too much, it splits the town offices again, so it puts somebody upstairs. And it, tenant space, question mark? Too much, tenant space, too much, question mark?
The second floor. Oh, what's creative about this, but I don't know if it's actually what we want, is it looks like they go over the vault. They go over the vault on the second floor. And- No,
Thanks.
Where's the bulk in this one?
they don't, so they,
Oh, there it is. right
no, maybe not, no, I guess it's.
No.
they-
No, it's right here.
The vault's on the
Yep.
other side, the neighbor side.
Something
right
that
hand side.
Bresser brought up to me that
This
was,
one right here.
interesting, that I hadn't thought about is, if we put a second floor on the vault, that could be useful storage space for the historical society, or something like that.
Mm.
I don't think structurally that would be that difficult to do. And that might be an interesting thing. That's
Let's-
not on any of these
yeah.
plans, but
Let's go on and,
A3,
yep. This is my least
This was
favorite.
my least.
This was the one that I
an easy one to
would
say.
say no,
Yeah, we can't build a whole separate building.
no.
Oh.
That, talk about invitation for the, I mean, this is like we kick the police out and they find a way to pay for a new building somewhere, I mean, that's basically
And
what we did.
And it's a 3,000 square foot building. I
Yeah.
think it's a
4,000 square
4,000
foot.
square foot building.
Minus,
Whatever.
no separate building for police.
If we were to do this, I would prefer it to be the post office and put the police station back in the post office.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah,
That's a nightmare dealing with the postal service.
I know. I started thinking about how much we want to consider the ease of these plans when we get back to where they take some of the post office away or they change the post office. I'm like, do we even want to approach that with the post office, or do we want to really try hard to leave it the way it is? And so that's a plus on these other two, is it leaves the
Mhm.
post office the way it is. They are.
Yeah.
That doesn't touch the post office.
Uh,
They could continue doing business just the way they are.
The one, so in the earlier ones, we are taking up some space for mechanicals.
Oh, that little, in A2, there's that little gray
Yeah, that gray area,
band.
I think that's existing floor
Yes,
space.
mechanical.
Isn't it?
Actually, A1 and A2, that
Yeah.
gray space just at
But
the
that
very
isn't-
back is labeled to
Yeah,
be
but that's
taken for
not-
mechanical.
And it actually,
Oh, this space.
This space, see, and it's on A1 as well. So they take a strip to
So,
put the new
Doesn't,
mechanicals
but
in.
it doesn't reconfigure. the
No, it
post
doesn't
office.
reconfigure.
No,
just
but it
takes
reduces-
away a little.
well, so that,
Mhm.
that's a negative, because it takes away from, our rent is based on square footage.
So a negative is PO rent reduced. It has a plus because it doesn't reconfigure the post office the way some of the others do.
It
but
takes
it
a little bit,
also-
it reconfigures that space, it's a
But
little
it
bit of space,
doesn't- Yeah, but it doesn't like
it's
some
not
of
useful
them are-
space.
building, one of them is building a whole new addition for the police, for the post office, so. It doesn't significantly reconfigure. But it does reduce the rent because it takes a few, can you hover over that and see the square footage?
Yeah, it's 39, I think, is what I got.
598 square feet, and some of that's not in the post office, some of it's outside of the existing post office.
I don't know, I don't think so.
It's a little.
I don't think so. I think it's,
That's pretty true
Okay.
to what's there.
So.
so if you look on
Post office
A3,
rent reduced by 598 square feet.
A3, there's a egress,
Doesn't
but that's it.
significantly.
somehow there's some inconsistency here because
Hey, where do they put the mechanicals in A3? If it's because it's not, I don't think it's there. Option, build new.
it looks like maybe the pink section is a stairwell.
That's an egress, right?
Yeah,
But there's no. I'm curious as to just where the mechanicals go in this one.
oh, up there, no, that's the second floor
That's overhead,
egress,
yeah.
the pink.
Hmm.
I don't know.
So one place that I think would be,
So A3, there's no mechanicals, question mark?
that's a good question.
Mechanicals, question mark?
One of the things I've always thought would
No
be
separate
good
building.
location for mechanicals is that when you walk out this door,
apartment.
you can go up
Mhm.
and there's a room up there. that
Oh,
is-
there's a like a. There,
It's crawl
Yeah.
space, isn't it?
No,
Can
no,
you stand up in there?
oh yeah, it's a full room. We used to store,
Okay.
school
A3,
district used to store files up there.
Oh, it's all right.
A3 is really not gonna fly, I don't think.
I don't think so.
I don't think so
I
either.
think it's.
I haven't
just
found
no-
anybody who likes A3
We
other
don't-
than,
don't-
and it's creative.
Well, we don't want to build a separate police station. Especially not there. So
Yeah,
you
talk about,
drive
let's put
in,
it closer to the
let's-
library.
Let's put it closer to the library and let's make it really obvious.
All
Um,
right, B1.
Okay.
So B1s, the B options look
To
better.
this one.
Yep.
Yeah, this one's,
I like this one too.
I like the B options better. I like,
Yeah.
I like that
Okay.
they were
All right.
on the backside,
Mhm.
on
Alright.
that side of the building.
You like, okay, I'm writing. So like, you like the door?
I like the Sally port being in the back. If we're gonna
Like
have a Sally
the-
port. I like
Too.
that.
Sally Port,
Okay,
and
access in the
basically the whole PD in the back.
Yeah, I like that the police department is the furthest away from the library, separated from.
Furthest from the library and the kids.
and still again, though, if this number is right, the post office is 2,300 feet, right? And what was Heinsberg? With,
24.
oh, and that included the Sally Port.
Yeah.
2,500 square
2,500
feet
square feet.
was the.
Including the Sally Port. So actually, so
David's here.
this is more right size.
Good.
than I guess,
Hi,
right?
David. Hi, Martha and I.
Hey there.
Hello.
Hey, sorry I'm joining late. I just got back from work.
Okay.
Okay.
So what we're doing, David, is we're going through each option and saying what we like and we dislike about it.
Okay.
We're into the B sections now.
Yep. You're getting to my my preferred options anyway, so it's
Okay.
good. Can I,
Well,
can I just throw in 3 or 4 quick key things?
Please do.
sure.
First off, this landscaping design with the green space in between the library and the town center building was the rendering of my unformed vision for this campus. So I've always, this is what I kind of hoped. You know, I see a fountain in the middle of that green circle, but that's just me. But honestly, I love the connectivity between the 2 buildings, and I love the fact that it really makes it, in my view, a unified campus. It moves the parking to the back. It also keeps the general integrity of the town center. One of the things that I'd like to see is the general integrity of the town center building. So I never, you know, I would have a hard, I would never warm up, frankly, to the police station on the, what I call the east side of the town center building. So putting it where it's shown now, I think has a lot of potential. I also think the designs that show it on the back side of the building have potential. The one downside to this is emergency egress by the police going through the main. There's just one means of egress for the, you know, vehicle egress. And so if, so that's a minor, not a minor, that is a hurdle to be considered, or an item to be considered, in my view. But this is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
One of the things
The
we
the
talked,
last thing that I want to chip in overall was Karen Yeagy's email.
Yeah.
I think I do have some concerns, even though, you know, on a personal level, I believe in a Richmond police force at a properly sized, and I believe that they need a facilities upgrade. I'm really concerned that that we're going to run into difficulties if this becomes embroiled in the police debate in some shape or form. And maybe it's unavoidable, but I think I just think that's something that we need to be very attuned to. So, and Karen was right.
We talked about that before you came on, that
Yeah.
the first
Yeah.
A options make it look like this is a police station that happens to have town offices in it.
yeah,
Because when you come in, the police is the whole, you know, the blue part was really big. And we did talk about, are there things we could give up, like locker rooms or reconfigure to make this a smaller footprint for the police while getting them what they need, which is an architect's problem, not ours.
Right. So.
Yeah.
And again, thanks for hearing me out. Sorry to be late. I'll come visit with you sometime. Life's so busy that the convenience of the electronic connection is where I'm at the moment.
We all agreed A3 was not gonna fly, the separate building for the police.
Yeah.
and, you know, and I think the architects appreciate that feedback as well.
Yeah.
I-
Okay.
You know, I appreciate them coming up with these creative options, you know, for
Yeah.
us to consider.
I like yes, I'm with Dave. This was my favorite landscape design
Yeah,
and parking design.
Yep.
Even though it takes up the space for any potential library addition, but he said, well, then you take the parking lot back out.
yeah. So how do the trustees feel about that? You know, would feel about this parking configuration?
I think as long as the circular green space along the side of the building still exists, I would think that trustees would be most inclined to want to preserve some kind of outdoor programming space for the library. And as
And
long
this
as that
might not be
center,
it, no.
right, as long as that center space could be fashioned in a way that we can do that. I mean, I think losing the green space behind the library is problematic if there's no
No picnic
Center-
tables and
central,
no-
yeah. But I think that, but keeping it in the middle of the two buildings, I think does give us some space to work
So you
with.
think they would be receptive? This is, equivalent or more green space than what they have behind the building now. Do you think it would be receptive to that? So it's kind of a
As
trade.
long as
As long-
we can use it for play groups and
It would
you
seem
know,
like it would be
And summer activities.
activities.
It kind
So
of
I
makes-
don't know if the fountain would fly because of having kids.
Yeah.
Although, you know, that in the summer, they might want to play in the fountain, who knows, but those picnic tables are used a lot
Mhm.
for a lot of different activities. It's not as reconfigurable as the big square space is. Like the day they had the play back there.
Oh, the
Mary-
Very Merry Theater,
Very,
yeah.
very theater could
Yeah.
not.
Well, you
come
could
and
take
do
up some, you
anything
could
in
take up
this.
some parking spaces.
Yeah, the
Oh,
other
yeah,
thing is we
that's
could
true.
we could
Yeah.
just say, oh, we just don't want that last row of parking spaces directly behind the building, like that could stay green space.
They could
Yeah.
build a
Agreed.
trail, Make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that there's so much green when you pull into
Me
the
too.
building.
Me too.
That's like, you pull in the building and it's all like trees and grass and welcoming and.
Yep.
Yeah,
Another thing that I did like about this design was that they were able to get from one side of the building to the next, through that corridor. Because I was trying to figure out, I've always kind of conceptually been thinking about, the police station. I guess that's the south side of the building, actually. But I couldn't
so
figure
you're
out how to.
talking about,
This is B1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All the
but
Bs
where-
have the same
but
feature.
what are you talking about?
So
Which
that
entrance?
corridor there, so walk
Right,
from
yeah,
the
that's
parking
central.
lot. I like that,
Yeah,
and
you
uh,
could go into the police station.
they don't have it as being the public access.
Oh,
Yeah,
they
but-
have it down in the front.
They have it in front and
That,
that's
the long
problematic
walk
to me.
from the parking lot to the police
That's-
entrance
that's
is
problematic.
problematic for
that's
me.
problematic to me.
Yeah,
But, getting from one side of the building to the next, that was an option that I hadn't thought of.
yeah. I'm just very aware because we used to work with seniors about long walks where they have to have a walker or there's no bench to sit down if they can't walk very far.
So
And yeah,
isn't this an entrance?
Yeah,
So that would be a public entrance?
well, it
I
doesn't
don't
look like.
know. The next one has the public entrance there. B2 has a public entrance.
Public
there.
entrance on that one is on the front side of
This
the
is-
building,
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
right there.
That seems problematic.
CRP,
A
oh,
long walk from where you
oh,
park.
there's the vestibule reception. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that does seem,
I mean, I think that's
I mean, you
that
can't have
that
the public
corridor
going by
door
the
is
evidence room.
police, like a key
Right.
added police door
okay. Yeah,
probably.
that makes sense there. Okay.
Another problem with this is, it shows doing an addition for the post office,
Right,
in order to get-
yeah,
in order to boost up their square footage space.
yeah, but that's like problematic
It's
with the police station, negotiating
Mhm.
building while the police post office is, yeah, post office addition negotiation.
Okay, and that's gonna be with all of the Bs.
Yeah, I think we have to really think clearly how far down that road we want to go.
And this is also, I mean, it's quite a bit of negotiation with the post office because of the demolition that would. need to
Right,
be
they,
done.
and they want, I mean, how are they gonna function? They would want to continue to function. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay,
B2 is similar.
me too.
Except it's different entrances. I'm trying to figure out what these, and that's what it is. It's different entrances. So it's essentially the same footprint. But with different,
But they
then they
reconfigured the
move-
reception for the police to there.
So that's how you could get into the police
Yeah.
department
Mhm.
from
Yeah.
that central corridor.
which
Yeah,
I think is.
And I
Makes
like
more
that
sense. I like that
actually
a lot
better. B2, so plus.
May I ask a question? This is Martha.
Sure, sure.
Hello, Martha.
Hi, I'm sorry. I want to be, because I'm a little bit confused. One of the great things about, I'm speaking on behalf of the seniors. One of the great things about the center right now is that the elevator is so close to the parking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that gonna change in any of these, proposed renovations?
The elevator's the red box. I think the elevator
never
doesn't move.
moves.
The next
So-
one it changes.
So.
No,
right-
but the parking moves a little bit.
Yeah.
the parking right by the circular green space, I would anticipate somewhere in there is the handicap parking, for example. And then you just walk across the little bridge there and you walk in the building pretty much the way you do now.
Yeah.
And the elevator's right there. So
And
this one.
even,
changed
yeah,
things.
I think that, without, how many handicapped seniors have difficulty walking, whether they're officially handicapped or not. And,
Exactly.
and there's not gonna be enough handicap parking. And one of the great, and whether the senior center has a space in this building or not is not my point. My point is to have the public have easy access to the clerk's office or the whatever. And if it's gonna impact that wonderful convenience of that elevator being so close to where people can move into the building and right to the elevator.
Yeah,
It
it-
doesn't.
it's a really good
doesn't
point,
change
Martha.
it on
Okay.
here, but
Yeah.
yes.
So,
So
one
we
of the things
like
that we've been discussing
the
from the get-go,
elevator.
even before we, years ago, actually,
Inside,
in this process is
entry door,
how important ADA access is
Right.
to us.
right.
That, we don't have, it's not as good as we would like it right now. And we
So
want to
this one
keep that
again.
in mind. So I would encourage you, Martha, as we go through this process, various different stages of the process, keep bringing that up. It's a really good point.
So it's not as far.
It
So-
has made such a difference. The library is almost, right now, as it's now configured, is almost inaccessible to a lot of our seniors.
Right, and that, I love the ramp here. This one, they moved the entry door. You see that, Martha? Of
I'm
the
having trouble.
library back, and
No,
they have a crisscross ramp there.
Okay,
That crisscross ramp goes to the existing portico.
Okay, but it could go to our moved portico, just saying. But
Good, it could go the other way.
that is actually if those spaces there are the handicap spaces, it's a much shorter run to get up the ramp to the entry.
to get to the
there-
library now, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
and that's another plus for this
Yeah,
is the,
shorter.
the access to the library. Most of their, I think actually all of their options include, much better access
yes.
to the
And they
library.
all take away those two handicap spots on Bridge Street where you have to back into traffic.
Were those included in their original count of parking spaces? They
Probably
weren't.
I
not.
think so.
I bet not.
Because
They
they may not
were
even know
in
that.
the parking lot itself.
Yeah. But they certainly felt free to put grass over them. They paved over our parking lot.
But I like that. I don't.
No,
want those
I'm
there.
just wondering, because
It
there's,
just makes it look
is it
ugly.
just two spots out there?
Yeah.
It's just
And
two.
they're
And-
both handicap reserved.
Well, but it's sometimes people park one car and take up both spaces
Okay,
too.
so
So
they may
And
not
they're
be-
very hard to get in and out of.
it's hard to get in and out of, yes.
Okay,
The only
right.
negative, I think the negative with this design certainly is we're getting close to the property line on the,
Mhm.
that
the
side, and
neighbors.
it's certainly gonna impact the neighbors on
Yeah,
that side of the
was
property
true of
line.
B1 as well.
And again, this is another,
Yeah.
it's pretty large. So this would have while it's more,
And
and it's.
and this also has our flood plain.
Yeah,
You have to take
issues.
out the,
mitigate, the flood
Mitigate.
mitigation stuff.
yeah. You have
If
to
I-
take out material.
If I remember correctly, the other thing about the landscaping in this is that it takes out it changes the grade over a longer distance, or the grade is the same, but it's over a longer distance. It would take out the stairs from the library, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
He
And
had-
so
he had- I think
that's
the-
beneficial.
The stairs are drawn in there still under the tree.
Yeah, I see that, but that was my recollection. Maybe I'm wrong.
He was talking about changing the grade, which
Mhm.
we figure might help our, with the drainage issues around the library.
And we would have to do some mitigation. Like the parking lot itself would have to be dropped down some
Mhm.
in order to, you know.
You
put
have
that
to
flex-
take out material to benefit, yeah.
Yeah,
If
so-
you add material in, you have to take out an equivalent, yeah.
Mhm.
Right, so
so-
what I have on this is, we like the corridor with the police
Yeah.
entrance a lot better than B1.
Yeah.
The elevator, I'm gonna add the elevator being inside the entry door. That was Martha's
Mhm.
point, we like that. The shorter access to the library from the parking lot, that's good.
That's good.
Our negatives were the post office,
Yep.
just in general.
Yep.
It
Yeah.
does impact the neighbors on that one side because it's pretty close to their lot line. And the floodplain things. Other negatives, any other negatives?
Just the size.
Size is big.
Size. It has a lot of tenant space.
It would be, yes, it would allow a
It's
lot
the,
of.
if
tenants.
this might be the most tenant space.
Yes, it's quite a. it's quite
Yeah,
a-
well, there's two additions, right?
I mean,
you know,
whether that's a plus or a minus or both, a little bit of
I
both.
like that it's one story.
Mhm.
You know, and it tucked behind there, it isn't a, you know, architecturally, it's not as.
It's not as overwhelming.
Not
Yeah,
a big.
It's
of a
not gonna
problem.
look as overpowering.
Is this one missing a mechanical room too?
Is that way?
Is it?
Yeah, that
Yes.
B2, it was a little unclear where the mechanicals were gonna go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
question,
Same with
that's
this one
my
too.
questions.
That's what, this is the
Some
same
people
one.
don't have mechanicals drawn in and that's their problem to find, but
I think they can figure it out.
Okay.
can you go back to
In
A,
theory. we
A,
put mechanical, yeah.
A1 and A2?
Yep.
I just wanted to look at the elevator.
So there's the elevator for A2, same spot, just the corridor is.
Yeah.
Different, and the elevator doesn't move, I believe. in
No,
any
the
of
elevator,
plans. It's just whether, like, where is it
It's
in the
where the-
entranceway?
how close to the
So that's the town
entrance it
office
is.
entrance
Oh,
and,
It's close. I
and
mean,
the-
if you put your handicap parking up
It's-
like here,
yeah.
It's the same
like,
place
that
where
it would be this, yeah, so it hasn't moved. All right,
The only one that moves in is the next one, it's C1.
all right. All right,
C1 is
C1,
two-story, and the
yes,
second story is,
an error exists on this page.
the
C1.
second story is on top of the post office.
Mhm.
So that's awkward.
Yeah.
It would be, you know, so
You
it that
still,
would require
okay,
that demolition to the post office in order to structurally build a second floor.
and you have an addition, there's the most post office effects are in this one.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
The
right.
most post office disruption is here.
Oh, and the elevator's moved in this one,
Yeah, that, which, you know.
which
I
is
agree, it's-
further from the entrance.
That's definitely a con.
Yep.
And they, you know, they're looking. I guess that they're just egress to the sidewalk that go into the street. Just egress.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the elevators moved away from the entrance. There's the most post office disruption.
Yeah.
It's 2 stories, which
It's a two-story
that's a
police.
2-story police
addition.
station. Yep.
I do think the post office renovations can be phased so that it would be manageable.
Yeah, we're just worried about even getting, how realistic it is to even get permission. Or they're gonna throw up their hands and say, we're moving.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's so hard.
Then we could put
I
the
mean,
police station in the post
I know,
office.
and how long was it gonna take to get approval or whatever we would need? I don't know even what their contract says, if we can even touch that until
Oh,
the
yeah.
next lease is up.
I think there is, I don't recall exactly, but I think there is.
It's just how much work do we want to go through and the timing, having the post office approval could hold this up for a year,
Um,
you know?
Okay, so.
Anyway,
All
all right, any pluses on the C, on this one? Over other things?
It maintains the landscaping that we liked.
It
Um,
does maintain the nice landscaping.
Parking in the back.
I really don't like the long walk. Well, the long walk to the elevator is really a killer for me.
So that,
I'm glad Martha was here to bring that up because I probably wouldn't have thought of it, but
and that can probably be reworked.
right. So if we want like this one, yeah, they could move the elevator. And then who's upstairs? So tenants,
Tenants and police.
and the tenants are in this space. Can you go back to
Tenants
the,
would,
can you
would
go back?
kind of be
So the
here.
tenants are over the
over the town
town
office.
office.
Yeah, there's lots of tenant space.
And then the meeting rooms are over the other half of this floor.
It's
And
actually one first floor meeting room
The
too.
other plus on this.
Actually,
It's a way to keep all the town offices on one floor.
yeah, the town offices are on one floor. That's,
Also, it keeps the facade of the original building intact, kind of, and pushes the new
Yeah.
construction to the back.
That is nice.
To me, that may or may not be a big deal, but that's one thing that it does for sure.
I do like that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, the front of the building would look much like what it does now.
Okay, we got one
Exactly.
more.
This is the one.
This is a pretty,
This is probably my least favorite.
But yeah, no, this is my least favorite.
I thought it was, again, I think it's really creative,
Yeah.
but,
It's-
having
what
two
is it?
separate
It's
parking
D1?
lots.
Yep.
D1.
D1.
I actually came to think that wasn't a bad thing after I thought about
It
it.
solves the egress problem Dave mentioned for the emergency vehicles,
Yes.
but I have a feeling it might confuse the heck out of people.
Yeah,
Where they're going in.
and it takes away public parking for,
Yeah.
you need it on the weekends.
Yeah.
It's almost 20 spaces that it would take away. And, you know, I think it'd be really confusing for the post office.
I wrote confusing.
Like,
Well,
where
because-
would
I-
be,
Yeah.
I was fine with this design. I liked it a lot.
do we?
It keeps the post office the same. It keeps the town center building the same. It gives the police what they need. I think, I think there might be a way to connect the parking lots in the back, with some modification. And it solves the egress problem. But I do think this looks and smells like a new police building. And I think
I
I
think
think
that's
gonna be a problem.
problematic. Yeah,
And that, it's
But-
almost 5,000.
I was gonna say, we could
Yeah,
cut
the
that building
police
in half
station
and
is-
solve the parking. potentially,
4,700,
but
Right,
4,800.
how big is, how big is it?
47.
4,800.
Oh,
it's gigantic.
that's that's
So you could shrink it,
gigantic.
so if you shrink it, then you get that, in
Yeah.
the back, then you can get a connection between the two parking.
Right.
lots.
You could cut it in half almost, right?
Right,
If you just opened up all this space.
this is a one-story addition, right?
Mhm.
I believe so, yeah.
All right, I like, if it's gonna be in a
There's-
something, I
Yeah.
like it at one story.
This is better than the separate building being in the front of the
Yeah.
property, of the front of the campus. I like it at least in the back.
And we talked about it not having to be a separate building. But
It isn't,
but
you know, I
there's
mean-
no way to attach it to the post office.
Well, it's sort of attached, so
Yeah.
that would be like, they haven't really clarified what that is, but it could be like, covered, open, like we have for the porch now.
I mean, if you slid it down and over and did like that. Right, then you could get parking in this area, around this area, you'd still get your delivery trucks in for the post office, you could probably put a Sally port back here. But you could connect it, I mean,
could
you
almost have
lose some of
that-
those nice windows in the post office, which would be a bummer, or maybe not on the hot day to
It doesn't matter now.
keep the sun out.
You could almost have that be a corridor where you come into the corridor and you go right for the police and left for the post office. So
open-
it's
an open
a
air
common
corridor.
corridor.
Yeah,
Even though
where's-
there wouldn't be good in Vermont.
I think our elevator disappeared. No, the elevator's still there. I see it. It's just not red anymore.
Right.
That actually. Gosh, thinking about it that way, it's probably not a bad option.
Mm.
Because it does.
I came to like the separate. I came to like the separate parking lot because it would mean the police vehicles are back there, invisible, hidden away.
Yeah,
You know, maybe they wouldn't sit there and idle right in front of the town center building
I would hope they
anymore.
wouldn't.
And, and you know, people will find the parking wherever the parking is. So on the weekends, if there's a way to walk from that parking lot through to the other one,
yeah.
people will park there.
It's the same distance.
But even
Yeah.
if you shrunk the police station down, because
Yeah.
you can cut it in half,
Go around behind it.
you could open all this area back up here
Mhm.
for more parking. And then the police could still park right along the side. You could
Mhm.
still have this as a little
Okay,
extra
so I'm gonna
exit
put some
way.
notes about.
I think that might actually
Smaller
work, and then you get more.
PD
yeah.
section,
It might
Don't
be
mess with the
easier
post
for
office.
construction.
right, because
We
police
build it
could
first.
build that
Box,
first,
yeah.
police move, and then you have some ability to,
Hmm.
And we
Yeah.
don't have to touch the post office's space.
we don't
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
touch the post office's space, which is an advantage.
And it really
Keeps-
maintains the
keeps
facade of the building. 'cause It
PO,
doesn't
it
change it
keeps
at
the
all.
post office and the town center buildings intact the way they are.
There's a little less green space out front.
There,
Yeah,
but they maintain the green space behind the
Yeah.
library. That
Yes.
looks even a little bit bigger, but
and I like
they've
how.
got
it
those new
is a little,
plantings.
You know, like if we could do a little. Yeah.
Hmm.
And it still keeps the crisscross into the library, that's
does,
the,
yeah.
and then you put your handicap spaces right. Those first
Yeah.
two spaces next to where the handicap ramp is, and,
What does
Yeah.
this do for lot coverage?
oh, I don't know, hang on. So,
See,
yeah,
oh,
they
it-
have
That
a-
one, wasn't that maybe one of the
Yeah,
key parts with this is that we may not, it might not be in our zoning regulations? So the
yeah, but
lot
if the lot
coverage,
coverage, but if the
Yeah.
building is smaller, you're
Oh, that's true.
making the lot
building-
coverage
yeah.
smaller.
Because right now I think it's at 72.8, where it, and we can't. we're
And
not
we have
supposed
to have a
have that.
variance anyway. For almost anything we do, because didn't he say we're
Yeah.
over?
Yeah, I
even
thought he
if they
said we're
change?
over. Right, I guess that's true. We're already over.
You're right, though. It's
Yeah.
the largest lot coverage, the way it's configured now,
Yeah, but we're not, but that addition is
I-
4,000 square feet.
but it's still by a lot. It's,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah,
5,400 as opposed to 50, or 54,000 as opposed to 52,000.
but you said they were probably maybe going to 50%, right, Jeff? Maybe? For lot coverage, for the change
yes.
of the lot coverage?
That is the proposal in the zoning ordinance now. Yes.
So we're over in all of these,
In all
but
of
we're not as over.
But isn't
We're
it,
not As over.
but if we shrunk the police station and we turned that into a parking area, doesn't the parking still count as lot coverage?
Yeah,
So we really would still
but
get
you could put green
72,
space back there.
a little bit.
You just wouldn't be connecting the two lots. You could
If
have
you-
green space and a walkway back there.
That's
You know?
true.
You know,
Totally.
and if you were to combine these, you could do you could do the parking behind the library and bring back your circle. in the
Yeah,
front.
I mean, I think there's ways they could, yeah.
Hmm.
Dave, do you have any more thoughts?
No, you guys are expressing exactly my thoughts. There's ways that this could be tweaked and there's some real pros to it. You hit them all.
Okay,
Okay,
The one thing that it does do is puts a drive on our property line, which I think personally is preferable to a building if I were the neighbors, but but it does put that drive, relatively close to them. But
It does.
obviously we'd conform to whatever zoning regulations are operable at the time that this was built, but
yes,
it does do some demolition to the post office. You see that white?
right.
oh,
Yes.
okay, so it does. All right, so it doesn't keep it exactly the same,
But is that-
but it's a little,
in some way that's preferable because that's where our floodplain issue is.
right,
Is that
it's that
gas
back
anything
corner.
though by pulling that out of there?
What?
Cause that wouldn't like move it out of the, does it gain us anything by removing that piece of the building?
It means that the building is not in, you know, the way it is right now, we had to add some concrete to the floor in
Right,
order to bring it above.
so that would get it out of the footprint, you
Yeah,
think?
I think so, you know, because that's the area that was
I
problematic.
thought it extended farther into the building.
Yeah, I thought that took a little bit, but-
We don't have those floodplain maps, because they didn't send it.
It
But
wasn't,
but we're still gonna be, we're still gonna be potentially pouring concrete on the floor in that section of the building.
well,
that was the
I think it was just
solution.
the elevation of the building was just a small section near the loading dock.
Near
which
that
is-
back corner where they're taking it off.
And they're taking it off, so that would solve that problem.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess that's a
That's a
question. Would this solve the flood? Would this PO section solve the floodplain?
So what I think is
solve
helpful about this
floodplain?
is that, you know, I think it's helpful that we went through this as a, you know,
Yeah.
ourselves without, we didn't need the architects here to go.
They
through
would
this.
just, yeah,
Um.
Yeah.
Do you think we're ready for the architects to come back and then, you know, we could throw, you know, your notes at them, Lori?
mhm,
I could talk to them a bit, you know, and, you know, kind of give them the sense of the committee. It appears to me that we have several options that we like. There's some pieces of each of them actually that we like, and there are pieces of each of them that we don't like.
and that's really what he wanted, because then they could go back to the drawing board and
Yep.
kind of think through. I think he said he wanted to get them down to maybe 3 that, you know, at some point, we're gonna have to go to the select board before they do a lot of cost estimating on options, I think.
Absolutely, and you
But-
know, the whole size of the police station.
Is that a
It's a wild
select
card.
board question?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's what I think.
And it's, yeah, there's a lot of moving parts with the.
For
police
me,
station.
the question is, maybe what we want to see is, can they figure out some, if not all of the police needs in a smaller than, what did they have? 3,500 is their smallest.
Yeah, I'm sure they can. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure they can.
and it feels to me like if they were building a purpose-built building in this one,
Yeah.
it would be
small.
easier to do that
I would think.
because it's just this big square.
Yep.
I don't know,
No, that would make sense.
but
you know,
I
fitting
think
in
that's a
with that.
question for John about the police. We have concerns about the size of the police footprint.
I think we should just tell them, you know, I think we should tell them, you know, we don't want any more than 2,500 square feet. For the police. Period. Make it work. What, you know, what,
Okay, then.
you know, something like that, you know,
Yeah.
just make it work. You know, what does that do to any one of these? You know,
Mhm.
and. you
And
know,
what do we have to give up? They know what was on the need list and what was on the wish list.
Yeah,
I mean, because Andrew's little grid had those marked. So tell us what you can do and what we would have to give up.
so I think, you know, I can talk to them, I think. Do you think we're ready to have them come to our next meeting?
I
Do
would,
you think we need more discussion within the committee?
I
David,
don't,
do you have an opinion?
I don't know if he can hear you.
Dave, do you-
Ken, I'm sorry, I was muted.
Okay,
I think you're right. I think that's the way to go.
to have them come to our next meeting?
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Okay.
we're ready.
Okay,
Yeah,
and I don't think we're ready yet to approach the select board. I think we should narrow this down, for the select board, and the select board's gonna be busy for a little while anyways.
yeah, I think that we need to know what we're what the options are
Yeah, let's,
and what we have to give up, or what are the trade-offs? What are the trade-offs in terms of what they can do and what we want to
okay,
pay for?
okay, okay, so this, I think this is really helpful.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think we can make it through the rest of our agenda relatively
Quickly.
quickly.
Yeah.
okay.
Dave, So the next item on our agenda is the library repairs. Dave, did you have a chance to look over the estimates?
I looked, I looked at the, I did look at it and there was some correspondence with Jake as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I remember that. So
Yeah.
it's, I'm feeling the same way that you and Jake feel as far as it seems expensive, except when you look, we looked out the window from this meeting room over at those towers, and it's really specialty slate. It's not just,
Yeah.
rectangular slate. It's, shaped, it's
It's
colored.
colored.
So Lori, I never was part of that conversation. Are they gonna pull all the slate and then rebuild the?
They're going to,
I don't think so.
no, they're not. They're gonna clean all the slate. They were estimating
500 pieces.
500, replacing like 500 pieces,
And,
cleaning all the rest.
but Jay was suggesting that he thought that we might be able to do half of that, 50% of that.
Well, they
No,
might
that-
not
that-
replace all of it, but they won't know until they get up there.
But so we can't ask for 50,000 and then get halfway through it and it'd be 100,000. That's not gonna work. So
I think, well, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
whatever it is,
I mean, I don't know. At this point, I am so frustrated by this whole thing that I am ready to like say, Amy, you're the new library building
Oh,
person,
boy.
because I am so frustrated. It's like 15 years now that we've been trying to get the building fixed, and
well, we've made good progress. We've made, much. more
well, I mean, we
progress
did, it's the exterior that's been like hanging since, 2015, when Jan Lewandowski said, you have to fix the flashing and and the woodwork and the slate on those towers, or it's gonna let water in.
Yeah, I did.
And that now we're at 2024, almost 10 years later.
So, but does this solve the problem? So, he was saying, what's his name, Alex?
Alex,
Alex,
So Alex was saying 500 pieces and Jay is saying 50% of them. What's?
I don't know what Jay is. See, I don't understand this enough to know.
So I think that Jay is communicating what Alex has given him for information.
I think so too.
Right.
So,
And-
you go ahead, Dave.
So what I'm confused about, and part of the reason why I think we should just go forward is a little bit of Lori's sentiment that we've been chewing on it. And let's just swallow it and go forward. But that's not necessarily the right thing. I just understand her sentiment and feel like we're pretty close to that spot, and we're trusting in Jay, and Alex seems like a straight up person, and I had some confidence in him. But what I don't understand and wish I did anyway was Dan Lewandowski, oftentimes with slate, right? You go up and you fix your broken ones and you try not to touch it. You touch it as little as possible. And I've got an old slate roof, 2 of them actually. That's one strategy. Or you could, like when UVM does a building, they pull it all off.
Mhm.
Then they do new sheathing, and then and you're putting in new nails, and then you're putting your slate back on, and whether
Right.
you're reusing your slate or providing new. So
Mhm.
that's what this pricing looks like. They're going to pull it all and then rehang it all, but I don't know that that's the case. So
Know that that's the case either, and I don't know enough. I wish Jay was at the meeting.
So could we schedule Jay and maybe Alex for our next meeting? At the beginning,
I do not want to ask Alex for anything more because I mean, Jay says he thinks he may have already scheduled July and this might be moot. Because this has now been going on with Alex for 3 months.
the thing that makes me nervous is really not the price tag. What
Okay.
makes me nervous is getting halfway through it and go, oh, it's gonna be like another 50% more. Which would be a real drag. Although we do have, we've got 160,000 in the town
Um,
center fund.
I'll tell you.
I think it was something like
No,
that.
I just got a fresh report this morning and I'm trying to remember.
And then Jay said.
I pulled it off the mail the other night.
500 pizzas, but it's likely that we're not gonna need that much and we're actually
That's
gonna
what
have,
I
we're actually gonna pay
thought that's
less,
what he said.
is my sense. So I'm wondering about that.
It's looking like what Jay is suggesting is if if they're not pulling it all off and then putting it back on, and it's 50% of the slate, then that's what this estimate looks like.
Right.
Mhm.
So. End of FY 23 anticipated balance in the town center fund is 252.
Okay, that's at the end of, so
Yeah, so
that would be July 1st.
Yeah,
June 30th.
that's after we count for rents yet to be received and bills yet to be paid on committed POs.
Mhm.
So I think we should just go for it. What do you think?
I think we should, I mean, I think
Yeah,
we've gotten a lot of information and I just worry if we continue to put it off, we're gonna end up with a much bigger price tag
Yeah, I-
because we're
I
gonna get a leak in the roof and that's gonna be worse.
Be worse. Do you think that we can, we have enough bandwidth for Monday's meeting?
Yeah, Monday's actually not crazy because I only had really 3 days to get ready for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just, what do I want to give the board? And I'm sorry, I haven't been paying attention to
Well,
everything
don't I
current
give
on
them-
this.
why don't I give them
We gave them the original proposal.
the original proposal?
Well, the original, let me.
If they ask about the slate, being high, we have the backup information to give them.
What was that you just held up there? Sorry,
Pardon?
what did you just hold up there? You said
The
this.
proposed summer 2023 library building work, which
That was
I
the-
sent as an addition
That was
to a meeting a
on-
couple
yep.
meetings ago.
That was from
She knows. She's got her computer.
March 13th. There was an email Lori sent from March 13th.
So I just, before we adjourn, I just want to make sure that I've got exactly what
Attachment.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get here.
yeah. And
Um,
it accounts, I did check with, Caitlin, who feels like our grant this would qualify for, meet the needs of the $14,000 grant we have, so. She just needs like a real proposal
Right.
from Alex, but,
this is, okay.
yeah.
So I think that's this attachment. Oh, proposed 2023 summer library, okay, sorry, I did have that. So,
Yep,
let me just make sure that's this document here,
yep.
Okay.
right? And we're asking for,
Well, because it's a reimbursement grant, we'll have to put the bill for the 65,905, but then there's
14,100
14,800
Okay.
coming back as a grant.
okay, but this
And that
one,
includes contingency, that's
I
15%.
included well, that was what Jay told me to add.
Good.
and this is 50% of the slate work that Jay's email outlined,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it, got it. So this one piece should get us to what we need to.
I think so.
do. Okay.
Yep.
All right, I just wanted to make sure, sorry, I've been trying to keep
So
track of the
you,
various
so do you
emails.
want me to,
Sense now.
and you have it as a doc, so just change the first sentence instead of asking the town center committee to recommend, just asking the select board to recommend, and that's it. Right?
We would ask the
The
Select
select
board.
board to fund the following project to be done in July.
to.
Oh, well,
From the towns, it probably has to say from the town center fund. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Then I was deep into grants with Rebecca and oh my God,
Oh.
the needs assessment
That's
and
the
the
motion.
Adjourn grant.
yeah, okay.
So,
I think that's probably sufficient and,
Mm,
and and Lori, I think the strongest point to make on this is that, we're putting it off for too long.
Mhm.
well, and yeah, Jay's thing back in, 2018 was, this was the most urgent part of it in 2018.
You know, and there's no guarantee that we don't, we don't find a surprise.
Well,
But-
and if we find, I mean, that's the true of any construction project.
Particularly in an old building, but that, it is what it is, I mean.
It is what it is. I just try, I trust Alex, who used to work for Preservation Trust of Vermont.
Yep.
That he knows,
Actually,
seen a lot of historic buildings.
I would, I'd love to get experience with him.
So I'm wondering, should we include the original bid too?
No,
No, just this pared down piece. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's probably
Okay.
true.
and then Josh, do I need to get permission from the select board? Or the approval if we're gonna apply for the Broom grant again? Do they have to?
Yeah,
bless
usually
that?
they would,
Could that be on the Monday agenda? I mean, it's the same grant they approved last
And how much is it?
time, 100,000.
Yeah,
We're not gonna get it. I have very low confidence, like the energy department about.
About
the
COVID.
This is-
one Lab,
this is for,
the Broom
Yeah,
for,
Broome
for
Historic
like.
what would we do,
from
use
where
the
we're
exterior,
from the
from the
library.
exterior?
Yeah,
Do you have, a
remember, we have a $429,000.
so do you have more,
I can send you what it is. I can just send you what I had the last
which is
time.
last time's
Yeah.
application?
Yeah,
All right.
I had a conversation with Jenna about it, so I know what she thinks I should change.
So when is that due? Not for a
The
while.
end of March 31st.
As in March.
yeah, that's the challenge is that, if we're,
That's all right.
Yeah,
this is worked before.
this
We-
is like,
I'm always
this
after the
is
fact, right?
easy, but this
So-
is like, I mean, yeah,
It is a matching grant, it's my understanding. and so-
it's a match. We have to have a match.
Mhm.
That's why the ARPA request.
Mhm.
We won't have any answer until May.
Okay.
It has to be spent by the end of 2026, so there's plenty of time.
Um,
Are you gonna be there to explain it then, Lori?
Yes, I can be there.
that would be helpful.
And I am gonna be in early tomorrow morning until like,
Okay, so I'll email, I can go back and email you that tonight,
that'd be helpful, yeah, because I'm probably gonna come in more.
because I'm out tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I'm only in super early until like 10-ish.
Yeah. But as I say, I think because of their emphasis on economic. It depends on, as Jenna said, it depends on who your competition
Right.
is. They, the interesting thing she told me was that they really don't like working with municipalities. Because those are the grants that never come off. The projects that never come off. Because their experience is the select board changes. And then somebody doesn't like the project. And then it gets put off and put off and put off, and they can't grant them, they end up with the money that they can't
So
use.
what I might be able to do is give you a letter of support.
They don't ask for it, but I will look and see if, no, they do, actually, I think they did ask for it.
So, I could do it as a select board member, that might help.
Okay. Let's look at that. It's
Diane
just-
was suggesting that we apply for a Broome grant for this building, and I said, we probably can't do two.
Well, their focus is things. I'll send you both what the Broome
I
grant,
can tell you right now, I'm not applying for a grant by March 31st for this
Right.
building.
Right.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
Maybe next year, I don't know, but not. I don't
it
have
has to have some element of supporting the economy of the town.
Yeah, and it's,
And so that's where the library gets into the,
Mm,
I tried my best to make the case.
so,
Yeah.
other grants that we're doing is, I submitted a congressional discretionary spending grant. to
Yeah.
both Senator Sanders and
Saw that.
Senator Welch. I got approval, from the select board on Monday to do both of those. They're both in. I
Uh-huh.
have low confidence that we'll get them. But they're for $500,000.
Yeah,
So it would be nice if we did.
Mhm.
Yeah.
One of our challenges that has been identified, another grant that I'm a little more hopeful on is there's a state grant. It's called the Municipal Energy Resilience.
the
Program.
Merck one, yeah.
And we fit the criteria except they want to prioritize, low and moderate income communities, and our median income is likely too high.
Hi.
For at least the first round,
That's why the USDA stuff isn't gonna be too advantageous because
maybe,
we're high.
it still benefits, low and moderate income people who live in our town, and that's.
Right.
But, and we'll probably still do some of that, but we'll throw that at Diane. She can figure that out.
Yeah.
Um,
And the library grants, they did get approval for the HUD
oh, good.
money. However, the projects don't have to be done till 2031. So they don't feel any pressure at all to grant that money anytime soon.
31.
Yep.
Well, so the other aspect that I think is compelling about this project here is that frankly, the library projects as well, is that we're shovel ready. And
Right.
that oftentimes
Right.
is helpful.
They're waiting on the money that's from the ARPA, state ARPA funding. That's the other
And they'll
half.
still want to spend that
And they
quickly.
don't have the guidance yet. They're waiting for the rules.
So I'm characterizing any grant proposal that I work on is that we are shovel ready. We intend to do a bond vote in November with
Mhm.
construction. We can obligate the money in 2024. And that's
Mhm.
that we might be ahead of the game for some other for that.
Mhm.
So the only other thing we have on our agenda is to approve
Approve
minutes.
the minutes.
And
I move
I
the
guess-
minutes.
I'll second.
okay.
All in favor?
Any discussion on minutes that our terrific scribe
Yeah.
has done?
Yeah.
No, if hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Okay.
All right, so I'll,
And our agenda for next meeting will be, we don't need Jay. We'll either approve it on Monday or not. It'll be the architects. And I'll talk to them between now and then. Explain to them what we discussed. I'll probably try.
I'll get on the pluses and minuses
That would
as
be
soon
really
as I
helpful.
can.
That would be really helpful. I'll plan on doing that next week. I'll talk to them next week.
And I will add asking for the square feet for the police, town offices, tenant and post office. As part of their matrix, that would just be helpful for comparing
And I'll clue them into the size of the,
the police,
something,
yeah.
we could think about it at some point is whether or not we contract with another town for Sally Port.
Well, yeah, I mean, right, contract, like for processing?
Yeah.
We have an agreement with Williston right now.
Yeah,
We can go to Williston and use their processing area.
And
Yeah.
so it's, so
So
that's
it is possible. I mean, I've heard feedback that it's
problematic, but
yeah, because you have to go, there has to be one of their people there.
yeah,
It
yeah.
takes long. You're going there and back. Ben talked about that at
Said, he doesn't have his stuff. He doesn't have his office with his forms and he has to
computer.
take them with him and he doesn't have.
So there's, yeah, but I mean,
There's a downside.
there's a downside, but also how many people do we actually process? Like,
it hasn't
Yeah.
been many of
if
them.
it's
Said
12 a year,
12 a year.
it's probably not that big a deal. If it's 12 a month, maybe we want something here, but I don't think we're having that many.
And it's hard for us to have accurate data because we are so short-staffed right now.
Right.
So it's hard to tell. if
Would they be doing more if they had the full staff? I
Right.
mean, they would clearly be doing more,
So, well,
but
we'll be
would they
arresting
be
more people.
doing more arrests if they had
the
the
full
staff?
staff.
Yeah,
So I won't be here next meeting, so you'll just need somebody else to open this and,
Are you gonna have fun?
yeah, I'm going to the Globetrotters. So that'll be a good one.
When is, what date?
Cool.
Oh, what date is the next meeting? I might not be, it's not,
March 30th.
I'm not here either. I'm on a school field trip
Uh,
in New York,
March
Okay.
30th.
March 3rd. Yep, I am. I was gonna say, otherwise I could do it because I'll have Duncan show me how to do it, but I'm not here either.
It's pretty. There's a.
It's hard to do it. If we have a
Or at
quorum.
the theater that night, I'm not gonna.
Well, I mean, if Linda's here and Dave's here and I don't know what's going on with Christine.
Mhm.
Jake is
Jake might
traveling, so
prob-
he'll
yeah.
be back probably.
Yeah.
Okay.